picture. Now, but the ISA, let me remind you, is not the only legislation we should be talking about. There are other preventive detention laws. There are a few others, 2 or 3 others. Now, 2 others actually. Now, there are nearly, Swarang's report a couple of years ago or 1 year ago said that there were about 2,000 people being held in other camps, not just the ISA, but under other legislation in detention camps. Now, that's why the bar, whenever we pass a resolution, we don't only talk about the ISA, we talk about all preventive detention laws. Now, something has to be done about that. A lot of these people, Tuan Syed said just now, some of them, they're 6 years, 7 years, 5 years. They all just become names, and they get forgotten. And we must never allow that to happen to anyone, never. And that's why we have to keep fighting continually for the ISA to be repealed. Now, many years ago, the bar was actually one of the few who, and we've been fighting the ISA for more years than I can remember. It was more than 30 years from the time it came into force. The bar was actually a lonely voice. We were fighting alone, but not today. Not today. Today, we fight with all of you. We fight with all the people sitting here. And that is what is going to make the difference. When we, all our voices together, say, we know about the ISA.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to welcome YEB Niguan Eng.
And I think today we've seen Raja Petra hauled off for 2 years. It comes home to us how the ISA is being abused. It's a total abuse. They're using it as a way to quell dissent, to stop people from speaking, to stop reporters from reporting. So it is no longer used for the emergency situation. If you look at the preamble to the ISA, as Tunku had said, the reason why it was passed was to deal with the communist insurgency. That kind of a dangerous situation to the country. We are not in that situation. There's no need for anyone to be put under the ISA. Now I'm going to end by reading you the testimony of someone who was held at Guantanamo Bay. And just see how different it is from here. I read it to you. About a week later, I was suddenly collected and taken to one of the 3 isolation blocks. I asked the sergeant why I was being removed, and he simply said, "We don't know. The order is from the interrogators." I was placed in a metal cell painted green inside. It was filthy and very rusty. There was a tap, sink, toilet, and a metal bunk. It was extremely hot, hotter than the other cells I'd been in previously. Although there was an air conditioning unit, it was turned off, so the cells were much hotter than the ones I was previously held in, because they were completely closed off and no air could come into the cell. There was a glass panel at the hatch at the front of the cell, so they could keep an eye on us. Whilst it was extremely hot in the daytime, at night when it got cold anyway, they would turn the air conditioning up so that it became freezing. I didn't have a blanket or a mattress and had only my clothes to keep me warm. That is Guantanamo Bay. Now, let me read you something from a detainee held in Kamunting. This is Mohammed Faik bin Hafid. He says, on December 9, 2004, I stepped out of my cell without violating any orders. I was handcuffed in the front, my head was forced to bow as low as waist length, and then I was hauled towards the back of the cell block. I was beaten, spat on, and kicked several times. After reaching the back of that block, I was ordered to sit facing the wall while handcuffed, and my head was pushed down. There I was insulted, continuously kicked from behind, and clubbed on the head with a baton. And then he goes on. And of course, you know about the case where the judge ordered a large sum of money because of the acts of torture inflicted on these detainees. Now, let me tell you, many years ago, the treatment of the ISA detainees was far worse, much worse. And in fact, there was much more secrecy shrouded. They was shrouded in much more secrecy. Recently, I won't say the better treatment. To me, you shouldn't even lose your liberty for one day. No one should lose their liberty for one day. But at least now, we have information. Teresa can come and tell us exactly what was happening there. It's good for us to know. It's good for us to publicize it. It's good for all those. That's why the information, Marina, that you give as to what's happening with Rajapetra, very important that the public know. Because it's only if we know and we criticize it, we can stop it. Because even if people have to be held under the ISA, they cannot be allowed to be treated in the way that they have been treating these detainees. So it is important that public gets information so that we know what is happening to the people inside there. And I think a lot of people are very appalled. When Teresa was hauled off, I think everybody was shocked. If it can happen to Teresa, it can happen to anyone. If it can happen to the reporter Sichuru, it can happen to anyone. So, and it can happen to Rajapetra, it can happen to anyone. So, this is what has shocked us so much. But you must remember that there are many who have suffered a lot. Over the many years the ISA has been there. People whose lives have been destroyed, marriages destroyed, families destroyed, and people who are broken by the types of interrogation that they have undergone. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all know why we're here. Let's keep fighting. I am very sure that we can win this one.